As of May 18th of 2026, there are currently 44 volcanoes which are actively erupting around the planet, a total which is 3 more than were erupting last week. One of these erupting volcanoes is currently producing the largest explosive eruption so far of 2026, the Teton Ridge Volcano. Located in the central Bismarck Sea of Papua New Guinea, this deep submarine volcano, located at a depth of 770 meters or 2,526 feet below sea level, began a powerful eruption on May 8th. This then caused an eruption plume to not only overcome the extreme atmospheric pressure at those great depths, but also then rise up to 14,000 feet above sea level. Extensive rafts of floating pumice have also been created, and this eruption is now in its 11th day. And now, here are this week's top volcano-related news stories. In Alaska, the alert level of the Kupreanof volcano was raised due to the detection of an ongoing shallow intrusion of magma. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, there is an increased risk that the Lewotobi volcano will erupt again due to recent increases in volcanic tremor, ground deformation, and various types of earthquakes. And heading far to the south in Colombia, the Puracé volcano erupted for its first time in a little over 2 months, causing ash to fall as far away as the city of Popayan. That ashfall occurred after a period of increased seismicity at Puracé's 2 northwesternmost craters, signaling the movement of shallow hydrothermal fluids and/or magma. Then, on May 8th, this culminated in the generation of multiple weak explosions, specifically from the northwesternmost of its craters. While most of these explosions generated eruption plumes under 500 meters in height, one of them produced a plume that rose 2 kilometers above the crater floor in question. After a several-day pause, eruptive activity then resumed again on May 13th with another explosion from the same summit crater. It is unclear whether these explosions were phreatic, i.e., not involving the ejection of lava, or actually magmatic, but regardless represent a continuation of this volcano's active phase, which it has been in since 2022. More eruptions are possible in the next few days to weeks in my opinion, but I do not see any indications that these will be anything but weak to moderate in size. Meanwhile, in Alaska, the alert level of the remote Kupreanof volcano was raised from white indicating a non-thoroughly monitored volcano to yellow on May 12th. This change was made due to the interpretation that a shallow intrusion of magma which may have begun all the way back in February was ongoing and had reached depths of under 3.1 miles or 5 kilometers. In other words, shallow enough that this magma in theory has an increased risk of triggering an eruption compared to a period of normal activity. However, an eruption in my opinion does not appear to be imminent at this volcano. The justification for this change came in part from the distance seismometers placed on the Veniamino volcano, which detected a progressive increase in the rate of earthquakes and even detected deep low-frequency events during May. Also, while Kupreanof would normally output less than 100 tons a day of sulfur dioxide, since April 8th, its sulfur dioxide emissions have been measured to range between 100 and 1,000 tons a day. The presence of sulfur dioxide in such abundances clearly indicates the presence of fairly shallow magma. Whether or not an eruption will end up occurring at this volcano is uncertain, but the current month is on pace to produce Kupreanof's highest total of volcanic earthquakes on record. And in Indonesia, this week saw an increase in multiple of the Lewotobi volcano's geophysical data, suggesting an increased risk that it could soon erupt. I am specifically referring to the Laki-laki cone, which was the site of more than a half-dozen major explosions during a singular longer-term eruption between December 2023 and October 2025, some of which caused 1 or more fatalities. Thankfully, in my opinion, Lewotobi does not seem to be threatening another major eruption, but rather the potential for a smaller eruption like seen in March and April of 2026. Since its last eruption on April 22nd, Lewotobi has produced an increased number of harmonic tremor events, multiple earthquake types, and even ground deformation. As a result, the alert level of the Lewotobi Laki-laki cone was raised from yellow to orange on May 12th, and its exclusion zone increased from 4 kilometers to 5 kilometers in all directions around that cone's summit. While seismicity has decreased somewhat in the last few days, it still remains elevated. And now, here's a quick list of all the world's volcanoes which are currently erupting. Additionally, here are some volcanoes showing signs of unrest which are not erupting as of the recording of this video on May 17th of 2026. As a final note, I would like to thank this channel's patrons on Patreon and channel members on YouTube for supporting my work.